And again, I want to just say good afternoon, welcome again. Lovely to see some of you again. Some on screen, some of you not. This has been recorded for a number of offer holders, so if you're not here with us live today, thank you for watching this. I know it will be really invaluable to you as you plan your transition to Queen Mary. So without further ado, let me formally introduce you to my colleague, Philippa, who is your Student Support Officer at the School of Economics and Finance. So Philippa, can I pass over to you? Thank you.
Sure, thank you very much, Ashley. I will just pop my screen up, and if you could just let me know that that is all okay.
That's all okay, we can see, yeah, that's all good now. All full
Brilliant.
screen.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, so as Ashley said, welcome everybody, and thank you for your interest in joining our school, the School of Economics and Finance in Queen Mary. My name is Philippa and I'm the Undergraduate Student Support Officer in the School of Economics and Finance. For today's session, we're going to be focused on, as my title suggests, student support and what support is available specifically for students in the School of Economics and Finance. There are lots of central support services available at Queen Mary, which I'm sure you'll be able to find lots of information about online. But specifically to our school, we do have some programs and some other support mechanisms specifically for you and specifically to support your study of economics and finance at a degree level. So just to give you an overview of what we're going to cover, as I mentioned, we're going to cover some of the schemes and programs that we have in our school. We're going to cover some of the additional classes that we offer. We're going to look at our course rep system and student representation that we have within the school, and then just some other fun stuff. And of course, Q&A at the end. So one support scheme that you will be acquainted with very early on if you decide to join us in the School of Economics and Finance is the Buddy Scheme. So the Buddy Scheme is essentially a chance for you to be matched with somebody who's already in the school, a second or a third year volunteer, to speak to as you're transitioning from school and joining us at university. So you'll be matched with them probably at the end of the summer holidays into the welcome week. And they are just somebody that you can connect with. You'll have their contact details, and it's really just to give you an opportunity to have someone who's already at the school and is well acquainted with how we work before you join and as you're joining, so that if you have any questions, you have a peer to go and talk to. We think that this is a really useful scheme. It's a university scheme, but in the school, we manage the recruitment of the volunteers, so the second and third years. And what I tend to find is the volunteers who do sign up for the Buddy Scheme from the second and third year are some of our most engaged students. So they're a very good means of getting information. And they also really care about making sure that our new students have a really smooth induction to university life and for the first few weeks of term whilst you're starting your modules. The relationship doesn't have to end after the first few weeks, of course. There are a number of students who are still in touch with their buddy now. Actually, from my own experience, I didn't go to Queen Mary, but I'm still in touch with the person who was my buddy in my first year, and I graduated quite a few years ago. So it can be a really useful relationship to have, not only while you're at uni, but as you graduate as well and move into the job market. Next, we have PASS. So PASS stands for Peer Assisted Study Support. This is a very, very useful scheme. It's a course-based mentoring scheme. So again, we have volunteers in the second and third year who independently run study support sessions for first years. So you might remember from some of our other sessions or looking at the course finder page that all of the modules in the first year are compulsory. So all of our second and third years have studied the modules that you will be studying. So this means it's a really good opportunity if you're struggling with any of your courses, or you just want a chance to get some extra revision in, or you just want to bounce ideas off people. The second and third years who are involved in the PASS scheme are excellent sounding boards and a really useful support. I was having a look today at who is involved in our PASS scheme in terms of mentors, and what I noticed based on the results that we had from our last term exams that the students involved in the PASS scheme as mentors are some of our best performing students in the school. So you really couldn't ask for better support in terms of peer-to-peer study support and students who are going to be able to help you achieve well on your modules. At the moment, PASS sessions are held online, quite similar to virtual classes that we're holding, and it seems to work quite well. They're also recorded for people who aren't able to make them, but usually PASS have a room that they're able to use, and first years are matched up with their mentors, so they're able to meet in person. It can also just be quite a nice chance to socialise and meet people from other year groups, but primarily it's there to help you with your study. Next, we have the maths and statistics support classes. So these run for both the terms in the first year. We have the classes are split. So one support class is for maths and one class is for statistics. These are run by our teaching assistants, and they're particularly helpful for modules in the first term, ECN 115 mathematical methods in economics and finance, and for statistics, ECN 126 economics and finance in action. For semester B, they're incredibly helpful for the module ECN 121 statistical methods in economics. So obviously you have your classes with every module, of course, but sometimes you might need a little bit of extra support, particularly because these modules make extensive use of Excel, and Excel skills is something that we find some students struggle with if you haven't used them a lot in your study previously. So we have teaching assistants who run these extra classes each week. I think the classes are about an hour long, and it's your opportunity to drop in with a teaching assistant. So they're usually a PhD student or a student who has completed their PhD. And again, very, very helpful to give you some extra support if you're struggling with any elements of those particular modules. Now, on to the fun stuff. This is what we want. So at Queen Mary, there are obviously lots and lots of extracurricular activity that you can get involved with. In the school, we also have extracurricular activity that's specific to our study and to our discipline and what we do. The first part of that I'll focus on are those that are verified on the Higher Education Achievement Report, which you'll come to probably know colloquially as your transcript. So your transcript is what you are given alongside your degree certificate when you graduate. It details all of the modules that you studied and all of your marks, and it's probably your most important document that you will ever get from university. At Queen Mary, we have a number of activities across the schools that have a set of criteria, and they are verified as being suitable and giving students suitable skills and experiences to be recognised on their what we call the Higher Education Achievement Report. And this is very useful because what it gives you an opportunity to do is to display to employers how your extracurricular activity has developed you, has given you skills and insights that will be valuable in the workplace. So one of the first HERE activities that we provide is the Research Assistant Scheme. This scheme is open to any second and third year who is achieving a rolling average of a 2-1 classification or higher. So that's 60% or above across all of their modules so far. So the Research Assistant Scheme is quite self-explanatory. It provides research assistant to an academic member of staff. So it gives you an opportunity to acquire a better understanding of the discipline, including research methods and contemporary research challenges and issues. So how this works is we do a call out to all of our academics, most of whom are researchers in their field, not just teachers, of course. And they say, yep, I'd be really interested in having a research assistant. And they might require, data analysis. They might require some support with qualitative data analysis. And they're able to recruit students who are very successful in their studies so far. And they're able to give them the opportunity to develop those skills and actually work in a research environment on current and real research. We had a really great year this year. We had 55 applications from students this year to be on the research assistant scheme, and we were able to place just about 50% of them on research projects, which was really successful. And the feedback from students is that they find it very valuable, particularly those students who are interested in going on to do a master's programme or potentially a PhD programme. Outside of the project module that you're able to do in year 3, which is essentially a dissertation, it just gives you a little bit more extra experience. And also it gives you experience of a project that's not self-led, but actually you're working in collaboration with an academic and in an academic team. Excuse me. We also have a programme called Qnomics, and I think that there's going to be a session with Mupi, who's our Qnomics coordinator, in the future. So I won't go into too much detail and steal her thunder. But Qnomics is a service that is run by students, and the students involved give business advice to tech startups and new entrepreneurs. Again, this is a very, very popular scheme. It's run by undergraduates and postgraduate students, and they work together in teams, like I said, to provide business advice. A lot of the tech startups and entrepreneurs that they advise are local. So the scheme is very well connected with Tower Hamlets Council. But like I said, I won't go into too much detail because Mufi's taking that session, but students do also find that a very valuable experience. Probably one of our most unique opportunities at Queen Mary is the Financial Markets and Trading Programme. So we work in collaboration with David Norman and Greg Amiols. They're both seasoned stock traders, and they come to the university as visiting staff to help students to work on our Bloomberg terminals. So as you may be aware, in the School of Economics and Finance, we have a Bloomberg lab with a number of Bloomberg terminals, which is a trading technology. And the FTP, the Financial Markets and Trading Programs, is a program with 3 levels: introductory, intermediate and advanced. And it gives students the opportunity to become familiar with financial markets, trading strategies, the Bloomberg and other trading software. Again, this is on your here. So if you are interested in going into trading in the future, this will give you a perfect opportunity to show that you have skills on those trading softwares and that you're well acquainted with them and you can sort of hit the ground running. Other fun stuff that we have, we do run lots of socials. So at the minute, obviously, they are virtual. We're using a platform called Icebreaker, which is an online networking platform, and it's really, really sort of intuitive, and it's a really nice platform. Rather than like a Zoom quiz, which is like a bit boring now, everyone's a bit over it, it gives people the opportunity to chat one-to-one as groups, speak in the chat, we can play music. And it's just a really nice virtual space where people can catch up with old friends or meet some new people in the school as well. But in normal times, we do host an end of term party in person, obviously, and we all go down to Draper's, which is the Students' Union bar, have some drinks and some food, and that's an opportunity for staff and students to come together, socialise, just have a chat, have some fun and have some free nibbles. Who doesn't love it? Again, in normal time, we also have intramural sports. So we put on a few little tournaments, staff and student teams, and just, again, another opportunity just to do something with each other that's not completely focused on our studying, but actually just sort of building a community in our school and getting to know each other, and making use of those opportunities to connect with each other. Something that we've introduced this year is the Film Club. Film and Documentary Club. So this gives students the opportunity to discuss popular economic topics through film and documentaries. So it's usually led by an academic who selects the film or documentary. We try to make sure they're as accessible as possible, like something on Amazon Prime or Netflix. And we give people a few articles that they might like to read related to the topic, and then we come together for a discussion. So the one that is coming up soon is on the film The Big Short, which came out a few years ago. and that's being led by our senior tutor, Manolis, who you may have already seen a video or two by him. And again, that's just a fun way to discuss economic topics that aren't just based in academic study and the methods and the maths. It's something a bit more real and a bit more popular to talk about and discuss. And here are the views, because a lot of the modules are quite heavily quantitative, and it gives you an opportunity to discuss something other than numbers. We also have, I thought that was finally, but it's the penultimate one, Open Conversations. So Open Conversations is a student initiative that was set up a few years ago, where students are given the opportunity to interview industry insiders. So it's completely student-led. The school do support it. And this year they've actually been able to get a really good range of speakers. So they've interviewed Jennifer Small, who's the head of data and statistics at the Bank of England. And most recently, last week, they interviewed Rajiv Day, MBE, who is a very successful entrepreneur and businessman. And they had a very interesting discussion about entrepreneurship in the current climate and also post-Brexit, and how young entrepreneurs can develop their skills and just get by and go out there into the world with their products and their ideas. What's really good about Open Conversations is because it's student-led, what we find is that people are much more willing, speakers are much more willing to come forward. And it also gives students a really good opportunity, those that are involved, in actually organising an event and getting speakers that they're actually interested to hear from and talk to them directly and make those sort of professional connections, which again, going into the workplace, that those sorts of networking skills and organisation skills are really valuable. And finally, as you can see in the right-hand corner there, we collaborate often with our relevant societies. So these societies are QMSU, Student Union Societies, but we work very closely, excuse me, with the Economic Society, Banking and Finance Society, and the QM Trading and Investment Society to help them run events and to fund them where possible. Most recently, actually, we're working with the Trading and Investment Society to support their Amplify Trading Masterclass. So Amplify Trading, if you don't know, is an organisation involved with trading technology. And every year they run a masterclass. It's a bit like a boot camp for using trading technology, but it's very, very popular, and we heavily subsidise the entry fee for it for our students. This year, the top performers of the day will be contacted by the Credit Suisse recruiters regarding future work experience on the trading floor. So it's quite competitive, but it's a really, really good way, again, to utilise the skills you might have gained from doing the FTP programme and actually using that to potentially talk to some recruiters at a very large company. Wow, I'm already at the Q&A. That was a whistle-stop tour of everything we provide. I need to cough, bear with me, please. And perhaps, Ashley, if you could field any questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for that. I'll go back on video. And again, thank you everybody coming in as Philippa was talking. This has been recorded. I'm going to upload it to the page that you know about of all our recordings so that you can catch up later. Love for you to go on mic. If you remember, some of you from last time with Yorgos actually came on the mic. I think it's always great. Philippa is going to be your student support officer when you come and start in September. So now's a great time to speak to Philippa directly. If you don't want to go on mic, we'd love you to. Then pop something in the chat or the Q&A. We don't mind in these sessions where you put those, because now is a great time to ask those questions as you begin to prepare. And a lot of you are still yet to make up your mind whether you're coming to Queen Mary. I think it's an amazing amount of support. Philippa's gone through such a plethora of what we do, but actually, it just scratches the surface. There's an amazing amount of support beyond, Seth as well and Queen Mary and the Student Union. So I'm sort of talking while I'm waiting for potential questions. Would any of you like to come on the mic and have a chat with Philippa with some of your questions? again, you know, when you start in September, you're going to have to be doing some of these things. You're going to have to sort of come on mic and chat and stand up and talk. Now is your time. I can see some of you have done in the past that are with us. So I'm going to keep quiet for a second or so and see whether we get any questions coming up. I know there's a lag, so I'm going to carry on talking. Nothing coming up yet. You're incredibly quiet today, unusually quiet.
Oh dear, what have I done?
I think you've stunned them with all that information.
Sorry, that was a lot. It was a lot of information. But just to say, actually, if anyone on the here with us today has any sort of specific questions about their own circumstances, around support that they might be offered at Queen Mary that they don't want to discuss publicly, but they do have some queries, then obviously they can get in touch with me. I'm more than happy to answer questions on a case-by-case basis if there's some specific things that need to be discussed.
Yeah, thanks, Philippa. And yeah, you've all got my email address, so just pop me a message and I'll forward that to Philippa. There's some people in the well, quite a few of you in the room. I mean, I'm just going to go through some names: Thomas or Maria, Mohammed, Lucy, Eden. I mean, any questions? You're still with us, listening to us. We don't just want to talk and just fill up dead space. This is really a great opportunity to have a chat with Philippa or ask questions about how we support the clubs, the student union, math, statistics, you know, extra lessons that you have there, classes, our academics, how Philippa works and interacts with you as a student. Wow, this is amazingly quick. Here we go. Lucy, thank you. Philippa, you can see that.
Oh, I'll have to turn off my share
don't
screen.
Worry, let me read it out to you. So
okay.
So thank you, Lucy. A general question. What would you say are the best ways to prepare for studying economics at a research-intensive university with regards to super curricular activities?
It'd be better for me if I can just read them.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Read that incredibly well, though. Please.
Yeah, thank you. It's just, you know, when you can't read so in terms of preparing for study, we don't require anybody to do any pre-work when they're starting with us. And what I find is that sometimes students in the first year particularly are a bit anxious that they may have not studied economics and they're not prepared for the course. Completely false, myth busted. What I would say is probably just keep an eye on like the Financial Times, The Economist. Once you get to Queen Mary, probably what I should have included in my presentation actually, is you have free access to the Financial Times and The Economist as part of your studentship with us. We offer that for free. But in the meantime, just keeping abreast of sort of current affairs, reading those newspapers or any sort of magazines that are related to economics and current affairs, politics, etc. And what we have recommended in the past, if anybody did want to do any extra reading, is actually just reading popular economics books if you haven't already, you know, free economics, those types of like easy reading things just to ease you in. There's no pre-work required and there's no reason why you would need to, particularly if you, for example, have taken a break in between your A levels and coming to university, then I might suggest revising your maths A level before you start, just so you're ready and raring to go with those types of skills.
That's great, thank you. And does that help? Does that is in response to your question, Lucy? And again, we love to. There we go.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, great. Yeah, exactly. So the economics A level, please don't worry about that. It's not required. We obviously require very strong maths, and that's why we ask for maths A level. But yeah, I would just say keep on top of what's going on in the world. I think that's always useful at any point, not just entering the first year, of course.
That's great, thank you. And those of you who've seen our, you know, what you might have missed, we've got some taster lectures there. There will be some more later in April. We've got a number of taster lectures from other faculty that we'll be posting, and that will give you a bit of a breadth of what we've done. So, you know, you've had what is economics, so you've got a sort of broad sort of understanding of that beyond what you might already know, and it's not business management economics. It goes far more into the sort of the mathematical side of things. But you've also got Anna Rout there, who looks at minimum wage, and then you've got others on markets, and we are going to be looking at things around finance. So those of you interested in economics of finance or finance on its own, we will have some taster sessions being uploaded very soon. And again, I'm filling the space because I'm used to a lot more questions, but it's very quiet today, probably fatigue, long day at school, long day just studying in general, but great opportunity. Do keep asking Philippa any of your questions, because we just want any question that you've got. I mean, this is a big thing coming to university in September, and Queen Mary's a big university. It's in London. There's a lot going on, and we just want to make sure that you start on the right foot. You come and understand what you can immediately do in your first few weeks, and how Philippa especially supports you in those first few weeks of your welcome week. So I'm going to ask you, Philippa, I'm going to question you. What questions, when you so last September, my gosh, that seemed ages away, what were the sort of questions that you were getting in the first sort of month or so? What were people asking you that they needed to know, help with, or support with?
Well, obviously it was very different last September. So we were having, I think usually one of the questions is about A-level economics and students feeling very overwhelmed if they haven't already studied economics. And I think sometimes there's a little bit of a feeling that maybe in seminars, people who have studied economics in the past might be a little bit more talkative because they're aware of some of the initial concepts. Again, like I said, that's actually not an issue because it's not something that we require, but there is obviously support available for students if they're struggling with any element of that. We had issues with students who were concerned about not getting the full welcome experience that they thought they would have when they started university. But we did work very hard to try and replicate an environment that allowed students to meet as many people as possible during their first week. So it was almost entirely online, our welcome week. And we held a group activity throughout the week. So everyone was assigned a group at the beginning of the week that they worked with for the duration of the week to make friends and to meet people. But yeah, I think usually there was some questions about sort of QM Plus, and I think hopefully this year, because everyone will be a bit more used to the standardized QM Plus, which is our virtual learning environment where a lot of our learning resources are hosted. There was a little bit of confusion about, when's my deadline? Because I think when you're at school and when you're in sixth form, your teachers are saying to you, oh, guys, your essay is due next week, or put it in your homework planner, right? Not really the same vibe. You're expected to manage your time a lot better and to read the syllabus and to look at the QM Plus page and know when your own deadlines are, put them in your own calendar. And I think without that level of being told, it can create a little bit of anxiety because you're just not sure what's happening when, and it is a little bit of a step up to the level of independent learning that we're expecting from you. And that was definitely something that was coming through a little bit. But I think you sort of easily catch on, and hopefully this year actually, because fingers crossed, we'll be able to do a bit more face-to-face. You'll get those, leaving the lecture theatre, sitting down, waiting for the lecture to start chat, where your course mate is saying, oh, have you prepared for your presentation next week or whatever? And it's those sorts of conversations that are really good at getting information around. Whereas because a lot of our students were working online, those conversations just weren't happening. And that's a real shame. And B, again, can increase anxiety, I think, for students because they feel like they're missing out on information that other people have. But fingers crossed, won't have the same issue this year.
Yeah, big fingers crossed. And are you able to sort of talk about course reps, school reps, how they support?
Sorry, I missed that slide. So we have, as with every university, we have course reps. So we work very closely with our course reps who are elected through the Students' Union. There is 1 or 2 course reps for each programme in each year group. They're elected in October time. So if it's a role that you're interested in, keep your eyes peeled when you join us, because there will be lots of information about that. So each term we have a meeting called the Student Staff Liaison Committee, where all of the course reps come. And the school rep, who is sort of like a senior course rep, they sort of keep abreast of issues across the whole school, not just on a specific programme in a specific year group. And we just listen to student feedback. That's the long and short of it, really. We ask for students' feedback, how the term's going, how is teaching and learning going, do you have the right resources, how is your assessment going, is the format good for you? And it is a collective voice. It's not just the course reps talking about their own issues. We ask them to go out and get feedback, and lots of the time that's via WhatsApp groups is what we find most students are talking on. And we hear their feedback, and then as an undergraduate team, so the senior sort of directors of the programs come together to discuss what we can do to address those feedbacks if we feel like things need changing. So trying to think of an example. So for example, this academic year in the first semester, students weren't happy with the length of our webinars. They were 30 minutes long. So in semester B, we made them an hour. That was just a really simple way to address what students were concerned about at that time. And it was good because it meant we were able to address things, in very quickly and improve student satisfaction. Apart from that, I think the course reps are just a really good sounding board for students, and also because they're very engaged in what we do as a school and they hear things through the meetings that they attend, the Student Staff Liaison Committee, they're very good at disseminating information about what's going on in the school, and what, who to talk to if you have a specific problem, and signposting and things like that. But yeah, we have a very good relationship with our course reps, and our school rep Asmain has just launched his mini podcast series, which is fun. And I was on, if anyone wants to listen to my voice again. So that was great. And that's a great way of hearing more directly from him. And just the episode today has come out with Felicia, one of our third year course reps. So if you're interested in sort of what they have to say about their own roles as course reps, you can hear it on the podcast.
Glad you gave that plug. I was going to do the same, and perfect. No, that's brilliant. And those of you who've have heard some of the podcasts, we've also got a new career podcast up there. We haven't promoted, but it's up there with one of our career consultants. She talks more about what we plan this year and next year. So really definitely worth listening to those. They're very short, 15, 20 minutes that you can sort of skip through. Now, Philippa, we haven't got any more questions, and I've prompted more questions, and I'm just thinking, I think you have gone through a hell of a lot. These drop-in sessions happen every 2 weeks, so I'm sure you'll be invited back later on, especially when we sort of get closer to September, if that's okay. So thank you for your time. If nobody else has any questions, you've got my email address. If you're a bit shy today, email me, I'll pass it on to Philippa, and she'll respond, or one of us will respond. Thank you, Philippa, that's brilliant. You've all have my emails about this particular link. It's just to curated pages from our main web pages. So again, you've had the link about recordings. I'm going to put this one up from today up in the next hour or so that will be live as soon as we can. And as I said, so look out in April. We will have, I think, 3 or 4 new taster sessions that we are recording through a session with the University of London in a few weeks' time, and you'll get to see a mix of our faculty then. So that's brilliant. Thank you again, Philippa. Thank you all of you for joining us, and I look forward to hearing you in the next few weeks. As Philippa mentioned, Qnomics, it's a really interesting student-led enterprise we have, and I'm going to get our Qnomics coordinator to come and do one of these drop-in sessions called Muppy. And we're just working on some updates with bits and pieces. So when she's ready with that, we can come and have a chat. And thank you, Philippa. Always a plug for our social media. I know a lot of you do follow us, and it'd be great if you don't to do this. If you're looking for some more business, more sort of focused stuff, then it's LinkedIn. More sort of student-led, it's going to be the obvious Instagram or Facebook and things like that. And if you're looking for economics, finance, sort of latest news articles, what faculty are doing, conferences they're attending, their research papers, then join us on Twitter, because that's where a lot of our academics sort of play. So thank you again. Thanks, Philippa.
Thank you very much. And like I said, if anyone has any questions, just get in touch.
That's brilliant. I'll close the meeting now. See you
Thanks.
all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.